When I was asked about what was the worst part of the trauma, people expected me to talk about the physical pain, the fear, but they were wrong. The worst part was the question I didn't ask. It wasn't why me. It was, where were you? I didn't ask this question until I was 30 years old, when that question finally broke me. Up until then, I thought I was fine. I understood God. I sang praises to him in the car with my family. A God who was big, loving, and everywhere. Everywhere. The word they used was omnipresence. It means God is present in all places at all times. And the other was omnipotent, all knowing. God sees every thought, every second, every tear. I had learned to trust that concept when I was 12. It was my safety net, the certainty that nothing was truly hidden from God, that no matter how alone I felt, he was there. But in my 30s, those beautiful, comforting words turned into accusations. Something just clicked one day, and those comforting words became sharp, terrifying accusations. If God were all-knowing, he knew exactly what was happening in my bedroom at night when I was a child. He knew the damage it would cause me in the future. And if he were everywhere, he was right there in the room where I was being violated. And yet, he let it happen. As a mom, it really got to me. Then I just became silent. This loving God of my family, the one I sang to and made a conscious choice to allow this great injustice, but not just to me, but to so many innocent children. It just unhinged me. It fractured the way I saw the world, the way I handled my own relationships. I felt utterly betrayed, and I couldn't even talk to God about it. I was too angry to confront the King of Heaven with his own neglect. And that silence, that just kept killing my spirit. But I finally found out why. The books gave the same tidy answer, and why that answer felt like an insult to me. Stick around. I want you to show you the simple truth that finally set me free. I talked to God about everything all day long, but this was different. I was too angry. And who was I to point out to God his mistake? And yet I knew God didn't make mistakes. And who was I to say anything? I was a damaged survivor to confront a omnipotent God. So I stopped. I stopped talking. The child who once trusted him more deeply than anyone else was now an adult, filled with silence that felt heavier than the childhood abuse she faced. And that silence was killing my spirit. That silence, the one I put between myself and God, it became a fortress by day 3. But inside of that fortress, the arguments just raged inside. I finally started asking, not to God, but about God. Why did the books always have the same answer? You know, that tidy explanation. The problem of evil is solved by the gift of free will. And that's what it boiled down to all the time. God gave humanity freedom to choose good or evil. The abuse, the pain, the absolute shattered destruction of a child growing up as a broken adult, that was the unfortunate collateral damage of human choice. It sounds so neat, so logically contained. But when you've been on the receiving end of the free will, it feels like an insult. It's like a betrayal, and I burned with anger. They tell me God won't override free will because that would violate the beautiful order of the universe. Really? The omnipotent God can stop the sun, part the sea, and yet is too concerned with order of the universe to prevent an injustice? And then I remembered Psalms. Awake, O Lord, why do you sleep? Rouse yourself. Do not reject us forever. Psalms 44:23. That's not a question of free will. That's a cry of abandonment from people. I wasn't asking for a neat theological answer. I was demanding to know why the protector of the universe, my protector, was suddenly terrifyingly absent. If you have the power to stop the sun, you have the power to stop a hand. Someone whose only thoughts were of their own selfish wants, discarding the child afterwards like a dirty rag. My pain wasn't a noble consequence of some cosmic law. It was a failure of intervention. It was the universe respecting the abuser's right to choose more than it respected my right to safety. And if the price of human freedom is me and a million others just like me, broken and plain dead to the physical, emotional pain of childhood sexual abuse, then I don't want that freedom. I want the God who stops the car. I want the shield they promised me. I was trying to fit this vastness of my trauma into a tidy theological box. And the box kept breaking. Every time I used logic to defend God's goodness, my memory stepped in to accuse him of indifference. I was trapped between my mind's need for justice and my heart's need for something to believe in. I was trapped arguing with God using the very logic the people who hurt me used. That some things are simply the way they are. I was tired of fighting God, and I missed our relationship we had, but the truth was real of what I understood, and yet I was terrified of letting go of him. The turning point wasn't a scripture, and it wasn't a convincing argument from anybody. It was the simple, exhausting act of trying to rebuild a life out of the ruins. I realized I was still looking for the answer to the old question, where were you then? But the question that mattered wasn't then. I realized the question was now. The question became, where is the source of life that allows me to get out of bed? Where is the courage to tell my story? Where is the strength to break the cycle? I stopped looking for God in the moment the abuse started and started looking for God in the moment I finally decided to live. And when I looked at my years of counseling with my husband walking alongside of me, who patiently helped me untangle the knots of the abuse, when I was given friends who listened, who didn't truly, fully understand, but who didn't try to fix me, when I felt the fierce little spark of determination that kept telling me, God is the healer of the brokenhearted. Keep going, don't quit. That was God, not the majestic shield I prayed for, but the quiet, constant force of resurrection. God working through others to help me get back up. The faith I had as a child, the simple, easy one, and I realized that day it had to die. It had to. I couldn't survive the reality of the trauma. But what grew back was a tough, scarred, enduring kind of faith. And it's built on understanding that I am here. I survived. I chose to live. And that defiant choice is in itself an act of the divine. Here is the truth that saved me. The temptation of the trauma is to let the abuser's narrative become God's plan. I want you to remember that. The evil that happened to me was not at all, a divine act. It was human sin. God was not in the abuse. God was in the courage to finally name it. I stopped asking, where was God when I was being abused? I found a new question, a better question. Where is God right now in the relentless effort of my healing? The God I know now is not the failure of the shield. He is the architect of the recovery. I will never have the neat theological answer to the why, but I have the living, breathing answer to the how. And how is, I choose life. I choose my voice. I choose to embrace the scars that mark me as a survivor, not a victim. That relentless pursuit of light when every shadow begs me to turn back. That is where I finally found God, the healer, the one who never was the cause. He was waiting for me right in front of my face to continue our relationship, ready to talk every day, to laugh and to cry with. And here's the most important part. Though I was silent for 3 days, locked in my anger, he was not silent, and he never left my side. It was a hard growing experience, heartbreaking at times, but he was there through all of it. And for that patient, unwavering presence, I am eternally grateful. If this message resonates with you at all, if you're wrestling with the why question, I want you to know you are not alone. Please hit the subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss our next discussion on finding hope after the trauma. And if you know somebody who needs to hear this message of the truth that God is the healer and never the cause, please share this video. Thank you for listening. I'm Annette, and I want you to remember, because he lives, it does change everything.